Ayer estaba y me quería levantar a mi novio no lo quise levantar, quería fijar. Era como me estaba fijando de la... Sí, también había escrito la clase. Pero y me encontré con que mi hijo me dio esto porque no puedo doblar porque está grande. Solamente quito esto, pero no sé.
All right, well, welcome back to the Advanced QuickBooks. So when I log in, because I use the same email address for the beginning class and the advanced class, I ended up with 2 companies. Remember I said you could have 4. So on this account, there's 2. I have to remember that my enterprises one is the advanced one. The general store was the beginning. So when you're logging in, if you have more than one, you will see them here. And if you need to switch, you have to log out of one and log back in the other. That's a little different than the desktop version of QuickBooks. In that one, you can have them open and flip between them just immediately. You don't have to log out. So that's one little difference between the online and the desktop. Not too many people need to do that though. Usually if they're bookkeepers and they're keeping track of other people's books, then you could do that a lot. The other reason you might do that is if you were working with a company's files, but you set up a scratch company. And what you could do is you can duplicate the company's files And that way, if you're not sure how to do something, you go to the duplicate and you can mess around with that. You know, if you mess it up, it's no big deal, right? So you can experiment with that one. And then when you got to figure it out, go to the real one and do it the right way. So that's just another scenario. But like I said, you can have up to 4. So if you want to be a part-time bookkeeper, you could do for 3 people. All right, so my QuickBooks is coming up here. If you use the same file we had before, then you might not see that at all. You'll just have the one, and that's fine. Okay. What we're going to work on today is our customers. Let's bring it back in here. So if you're zooming and just came back in, I think you got bumped out for a minute. We're going to go to customers and leads. And you're going to see customers. They're still there. So when you bring up your customers, because I don't have any customers yet, I get this screen. If you're carrying over from the other QuickBooks, you can always do the same thing by clicking on new and then using the drop list. What we're going to do is instead of keying them in individually, we're going to import them. So we're just going to take a list from another system and pull them in, and it'll all be done for us. So in this case, I'm going to import customers. So you do this whenever you have another system where you've been keeping track of customers. It could be another QuickBooks. If you have trouble, like a really old version of QuickBooks, we had somebody once who had like 4 versions back, and QuickBooks is compatible, but it's only usually compatible like 1 or 2 generations. Once you get to 3 or 4, you're kind of out of range. But you can use a neutral file type. So in this case, you'll see we've got 2 options here. It's going to give me the options of Excel and CSV. CSV stands for comma separated values. And you're going to see how that's going to work in just a second. So in the email I sent you today, you should get a chance to see the 3. There they are. Three links. So the advanced list of customers, and then we're going to do the same thing for vendors, and then we're going to do the same thing for products and services. Those are the 3 lists that you can just import into QuickBooks. So let's go back to QuickBooks here. You'll see whenever you're going to do this, this is one of those things you don't do very often. So it's kind of good to remember not necessarily how to do it, but how to find out how to do it. You're going to see download a sample file. What that means is QuickBooks will give you a scratch file for free. And it just got dummy names and things, and it shows you the layout of the way your list should be. So I just did that. So to see it, I have to open my Explorer. And then you can see how QuickBooks expects the data to come in. If it doesn't match what they want, it won't work. And what'll happen though is it's not that it won't work completely, it'll just give you errors that you have to fix by hand. So I'm going to go here too. By using download, oops, my computer automatically sends it to a file folder called download. So you can see that over here, downloads. And the name of the file is QuickBooks Online Customer Sample File. So if you got knocked out, to get to this, then click on Import Customers, and that's under Customers and Leads. Real quick, I'm just going to add a customer manually here. Just to show you the other way it's going to look, or the other way to do this. If you already have a customer, at least one, and this could be Dan's Imaginary Company. You don't have to do this part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll just do it. So this is the other way. You saw that screen, right? So this is the other way. If I already had one, and I go start off the dashboard. So I'm ready to do this. Here's the other way it's going to look. So I go, okay, I want to go to customers and leads. There they are. So this is a screen, should look familiar. This is the one we did before, but I still want to do the import thing. All right. So in addition to my Dan's Imaginary Company, this is the other way to do it. In the upper right hand corner, you won't see this now if you haven't done it yet. Import customers. And by doing that, now I'm back to this screen. Okay. So that's just to let you know, you can do this anytime. And sometimes some companies will, it may not be customers, but more than likely products. If you have a whole new line of products coming in, the company will send you a list. And instead of just having to type them all in, you can import them. It saves you a lot of time. So I downloaded my sample file. Let me take a look at it. So if I go here, so I opened it, and this is what it looks like. And it opened in Microsoft Excel. Now, you don't have to use Microsoft Excel. That happens to be the most common program. And all the computers here in the classroom do have it installed, so it automatically opens in Excel. One thing you'll notice up here, if you do open in Excel or any other program, it's going to give you a warning. This is going to be the protected view because the computer knows this was downloaded. It came from another source. It's going to warn you, be careful, because if you don't know where it came from, it could have bad stuff like viruses. So we know QuickBooks is okay. So I'm going to click on Enable Editing. Enable Editing. Okay, I'm doing so. There it is. And you'll see their little note, all data is for sample purposes only, meaning these are not real people and not real emails. But this is the layout. And the most important thing to look at is the very top row, because this is the one you got to get right. So you see there's name, all the way across. Name, company, customer type, email, mobile phone, fax, website, etc. The reason these are important is QuickBooks is going to look for them in this order. Now, if they aren't in this order, you're going to see there's still ways of working around that. But if you know Excel a little bit, you know how to move columns around, and you can put them in this order. So whatever data you have, you want it to match this layout. Now, they only had, what, 10 names, 9 names? So you could have a lot more. And you'll see there's opening balances and dates. And then resale numbers. If they are a legitimate reseller, the resale number should be here. If you import them, let's say these are resellers, but I don't have their numbers, I can still import them and then just manually put those in later. So anything on here, the only thing that's absolutely required is that very first row, or very first column, pardon me, is name. It has to have a name here. Everything else is gravy, it's extra. Now, of course, you want to have addresses and things, and phone numbers if you have them. So that's the QuickBooks sample data. So it's always available to you. If you ever have to do this again, you say, I don't quite remember how to do it. Let me see what it's supposed to look like. And just make yours look like this. So that's what I did by, if you go to the email, and you'll see where we have advanced customers, you can go ahead and click on that list. And it's this one here. Now what I did is I put my list in Microsoft Excel 365. The advantage of doing that is it's available to anybody online. Okay. So when you click on this advanced customers, it should come up with this. Now, when you compare my list to QuickBooks's, you'll notice here, let's stretch this out a bit. Not every company is going to have a company name, because some of my people are individuals. You'll see I did include email addresses. And then here's something I did include: opening balance. Whenever you set up a customer, QuickBooks always asks you, do they currently owe you any money? And if you do, you're supposed to put it in there. When we did this before, nobody owed us any money. We started from scratch. In this case, these do have open balances and they go back a ways. That's going to be a good thing, because we're going to see how to deal with old balances and charging them interest and penalties and things like that. So how do we get these into QuickBooks? The first thing I need to do is save this file locally. So if I go to the File menu in the upper left-hand corner and go to Save As, you can download a copy to your computer. Even if your computer today doesn't have Excel on it, you can still download the file. You just won't be able to open it in Excel. So if I download a copy, I don't know if you can see on the right-hand side here, it flashed up there and says downloading. It's a really small file, so it goes fast. So now I go back to my download folder, and there is Advanced Customers Upload. Okay, so you should see that somewhere. So now that I have that on my computer, I'm ready to go back to QuickBooks and tell it where to find it. Let me look at the file one more time in Excel. You'll notice my columns are separated by the column borders. So between name and company, and here's a line. Right? Company and email, there's a line. Phone, there's a line. So because it's an Excel format, that's the way it's laid out. Remember I said the other option was CSV, comma separated values? What you can do if you don't have Excel, you can actually use like Microsoft Word or a Word document program and do the same thing, but you print it out like this. So I'm gonna use Dusty, not Dusty Woods. How about Tomfoolery? So the way it would look like this, Tomfoolery is his name. Did I spell it right? Comma, Time Catcher, LLC, comma, see how the commas now here separate each value. So that's the way it would look by a CSV file. Okay, I'm gonna abandon that because this is gonna work just fine. So just FYI, to be honest, nobody uses CSV files anymore. That was in the old days when Excel was like $600 for the program and people didn't want to pay for it. So is there another way to do this without paying for it? And that was the way. So it is possible, but very rare. If you are using a free version of Microsoft Excel called Google Sheets, you can do that as well. And you'll see on the right-hand side here the option to do Google Sheets. Okay, so we didn't do that. So that's a third way of drawing in data. The problem with Google Sheets is it's supposed to be secure, but anybody online could potentially break in and grab it. So that's why you gotta have to be careful with Google Sheets. So I'm gonna click on Browse, here the word Browse, and I'm gonna tell QuickBooks where my Excel file is. So I'm gonna go to my Downloads, and there's Advanced Customers Upload. See? So I'm gonna click that, so it's blue. In my case, it's blue. And then click Open. And you'll see here is the file name. Advanced Customers Upload.xlsx. XLS is the file type, tells it it's Excel file type, and X is the most recent version. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go next. So once you've got that filled in here, after you click Browse, we're gonna click down here, Next. They put the next button way in the bottom right-hand corner. Again, I don't think it's a very good design because I want to click it right below it. And in so doing, QuickBooks is now going to analyze our data. Did it work? Yeah, there you go. All right. What it did, it's going to do what's called mapping, meaning QuickBooks has those field names. So they need name, company, email, phone. You see that all on the left-hand side. All right. So on my import file, the Excel file, you'll notice they match up here. See, name, company, email, blah, just exactly the way QuickBooks wanted it. However, I am missing something. You'll see here, website has no check mark and it says no match. So, is that correct? Let's take a look. So if I go back to my Excel, sure enough, you'll see I look up here. Yeah, there isn't any. Okay, so I didn't collect websites. QuickBooks is okay with that. It just wants me to know, hey, there's no website, so don't expect me to pull in the websites for you. So these don't have to all have question or green check marks next to them. However, let's say that I did have it, but I didn't call it website. I called it web pages, right? So I spelled it differently. If it's on my list, I could click here where it says no match, and I can see all the ones QuickBooks found, all the columns. And if I did that, it would say web pages here, and I'd say, all right, website means web pages. So use that. And it would actually convert itself and use the web pages column. You'll see I also didn't use customer types or resale numbers. Yesterday, when we turned on the customer types, it made that eligible in our customer list. And then we didn't have any resale numbers. So here's the good news. The mapping thing was all done by QuickBooks, and it figured everything out correctly. If it doesn't, you can do it manually. All right, so I'm going to click on next. And it says 10 customers are ready to be imported. And here they are. Now, this is giving you a chance to look everything over. Does it look right? Does it make sense? And let's say I'm looking at this and I look at Allie, and no, Allie doesn't owe me $230. Wait a minute, where'd that come from? Let's take a look. I go back to my Excel. There's Alleyway, and it says here $230. And I say, oh, no, that's wrong. It's only $130. What I'm going to do is I'm going to override QuickBooks here. I caught it. And I'm going to say that 230 here as the opening balance is 130. So see, you can make a change. Anything that's in a box like that, you can change here at this point. So if it's dates, spellings, anything. When you finish this, QuickBooks will bring in the data as it appears on this screen only. It doesn't matter what the other screen says. It also will not go back and change and fix my Excel file. QuickBooks says that's not my job. If you want to do that, go back and do it yourself. I'm only going to worry about this data for QuickBooks. All right, so I'm ready. Here, we've got it right. You're going to see import. Click on import. There they are. And you'll see we have opening balances. So this would be the scenario that if you were using another software program, you're carrying all this over, you want to carry these balances because you have to work with them. So you should get something like that. So then all of a sudden now, on my list here, I got a bunch of people that are overdue. But that's okay for now. If I had another list, again, you can go over here to new customer. And I can use import customer and go back and start over. If you import somebody whose name you already have on your list, it'll just give you a warning, and then you can make the change. So I'm going to really mess it up. Don't do this. I'm going to take the same list and say, I want to upload it again. Okay, what I'll end up doing is getting a whole bunch of duplicates, right? If that happens, yeah, don't do this. Yeah, just because, just to show you could try it again, but then you'll have to, here, I'll turn them all off. I'll do Allie. I'm just going to do one. And I click on import. You'll see I get an error. Zero of one. Successfully imported, meaning nobody got imported. Why? It's big red here. It says I already have the name being used in QuickBooks. And remember, In QuickBooks, everybody can have a name, has to have a name, and it has to be unique. So if I had 2 alleyways, I'd have to say alleyway 2 or alley, put a middle initial here. Because remember I said you can change anything here like that. Or maybe this one's from Modesto, the other one's from Patterson, so I can say Modesto. Just that would allow it, right? I'm not going to do it, but just so you know, if it were really legit where you wanted to do this, that's what'll happen. Anytime there's a duplicate or there's something that's confused about, it'll give you a warning and it will show it in red here. And then you can either fix it or go back in and, like in this case, turn off the check mark and don't import it. If you're doing a very large list, like say 3,000 customers, I'd probably try to break them up into like, well, it depends. If you're really absolutely sure somebody did a good job getting the customers in, by all means, try it, see how it goes. But if it's a long list, my temptation is that, there's probably going to be issues. I'd rather just do them in groups. Get one group in, okay, done. Next group, and so forth. But either way, I'm just going to cancel this out. Yes. And you'll say I got a quick notice, no importing because I had a duplicate record. So that's an advantage that it won't let you duplicate it in case you do have a duplicate list. Any questions on what we just did? Yeah, it's pretty easy. The hard part is getting it set up right. As long as you can get it matched right, the rest is easy. And that's the good news, because if I had to type all these in, I know I would make typos somewhere. So it's much better if you get the computer to take an already correct list and just import it. All right. So next thing we're gonna do is go down to expenses here. And I'm gonna do the same thing for vendors. If you're using an older version of the data, then it might say that you're doing your get paid and pay. And then it takes little surveys like this. Tell us how you're feeling. I'm going to close that, ignore it. But when you go to vendors, you can also do import vendors. Same as before, you can click on new, import vendors. Once again, see there's that download sample file. Now the good news for us, the vendors is almost exactly the same as customers. I'll go ahead and download it just to see it, but you get paid. The difference in style is, I don't know if you remember, I said I was a general retail. So it just customized it a bit. It's the same thing, just a little different. So I went ahead and downloaded it. Let's take a look at it. My downloads. Here's the QuickBooks Online vendor sample file. And you see it looks, oh, whoops, lost it. That's the customer one. Let's close that. There it is. Yeah, so you can see at the top, it says the vendor file. And the good news is the bad news. They're the same. The good news is it's almost identical. See, name, company, email, blah, blah, blah. The bad news is if you don't look at the heading at the top, you can easily think these are your customers. And you can actually, QuickBooks is not smart enough to know, even if I called it my list, vendors, and I try to import into customers, it won't say, whoa, 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 are you sure that's right? It'll just think, okay, fine, You gave me the right data, and it'll just do it blindly. So that's one thing you have to watch for. So the good news is it's exactly the same. The bad news is it's exactly the same. So it can get confusing. The real way to tell is here with vendors, you have a lot more company names. So just, visually say, wait, yeah, look, that really looks more like a vendor list than a customer list. But if your customers are all businesses, that's certainly possible. All right, so I'm going to go to my email. So I'm going to open the advanced vendors list by clicking that button. And there it is. Now my columns are all kind of squished together, but the data is right. And the reason it looks squished is it's overlapping. So I'll use a little Excel skill just to widen up the columns just to see them. Yeah, there you go. Now, the funny thing is, I don't have to do that for QuickBooks. It doesn't care if it can't read it. As long as the data is there, it doesn't matter that it's all squished together. For me, of course, it would drive me crazy. I can't read anything. But QuickBooks, no problem. You'll notice we also have opening balances for these vendors, meaning we owe them money and we're late. So that's good because we have a chance to practice dealing with other late fees on the other end. And then once again, you got a column for tax ID, but we're going to go ahead and leave that empty. And once again, as long as you have something in this name column, that's all QuickBooks needs. So I want to save this one locally, meaning I want to save it on this computer here. So I'm going to use the file, save as again, just like we did before. And I'm going to use download a copy. So by doing so, it'll deliver it to my downloads folder. And it's not that I don't trust the computer, but I don't always trust the computer. So I'm going to take a look. Here's my downloads folder. And I have the vendor sample file, which QuickBooks gave me, and here's my advanced vendors upload. That's the one I want. Good, so it's there. So I'm going to go back to QuickBooks now and say, all right, I got my copy. I'm ready to link them. So here we go. Click on Browse. There's Advanced Vendors Upload. And once again, gives you the name and then the XLSX. So it's recognizing it. That's good. And then next. This time, you'll see we did use websites. So this list is going to be a little bit different, and that included their websites on it. And again, QuickBooks is fine with that. Right? The one thing we didn't use is no tax ID. So it says no match. If I did have a match, I could override this no match by clicking on it, telling where the match is. You do want to be careful with that because I could tell it, let's see, the tax ID is the opening balance. And see, look, I got a little happy check mark, a green check mark here. QuickBooks thinks that's just fine. It sees numbers, opening balances are numbers. So it says, all right, I'm looking for numbers. Those are numbers. All right, I must be right. Well, it's not. It's way off. So, like I said, computers are smart, but not that smart. So it's not going to catch that. So I want to stop that. And I'm going to tell it, no match. We're just going to leave it blank. So when you are mapping, you do have to kind of be careful and make sure that you are correct. Don't assume, always double check. And that's why when we click next, we get one more chance to double check it. All right. So if I had mapped the opening balance to the tax ID number, the tax ID number for boards furniture would be 9.75. And again, makes no sense. But I didn't do that, so I'm going to click import. And the same deal, just like customers. We have open balances. And at the top, see, we're overdue with our vendors. Okay, but at least we got them in.
I don't have open one.
Because we're already got the names.
Oh,
So, oh. Remember I said the spellings have to be different? Yeah.
oh,
The only thing is, you might- I said, one little difference can be all it takes. Even though it looks invisible, the space is a difference. That one I don't have 2 words. I'm gonna put a period. Yeah, I mean anything. The only thing is if it's like 1 word, or even you try to put space at the end of 2 words, then yeah. I don't know. It could be. Go back. If you when you did this and it mapped, you accidentally turn off that 1 check mark. You bounce it. Next one, turn that to like that. So there's no green check mark here, so it wouldn't be included. Shoot. Could do something like that space. Then what we'll do is the original ones, we'll just make them active. There they are. So the ones that have 0 balance, it looks like it's missing.
yeah.
Now I think
Oh.
you want to check mark here. Yeah, but check marks anyone that has
that's
zero,
zero?
and you can do them all at once.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. The other way would you have to go and edit it. And basically wipe it out one at a time. So anyway, if you just make them inactive, that'll work. The other option is I did have my list. So we're talking about the scenario where everything came over except the opening balances. In the real world, if you didn't want to make them inactive and do all that, you'd have to do it this way. You basically have to go into the vendor, scroll down, and see the opening balance. And then you'd go back to your spreadsheet and say, there they are. Okay, they owed $9, or we owed them $9.75 as of February 20th. So you come back and you can add the change here. And mine already has it, so won't let me do it again. But that is one way that you can adjust if something went wrong. So just FYI. There's almost nothing you can do in QuickBooks that you can't fix. Sometimes though, it's just how much time it's going to take to fix it. But that's one of the reasons, always double check and triple check before you import, because that really does save a lot of time. All right, so it is now 6:56. It's break time. We'll come back at 7:06.
Yo lo imagino.
Okay, we're back. So we've got our vendors imported. Now we're ready to do our products. So again, if you've got get paid and pay, you should see your products, services, I'm going to go to get to my list up here in that little cog. Under list, you'll see products and services. So there's different ways to get here. This one doesn't have that opening screen because we already have some products or services, including a late fee. So remember it said when we turned on late fees, it was going to set up one for us. Well, it did right there. Okay, so that's a good thing. This is under my sales, but you can get to this list in two places. So my navigator over here, I've got sales. And when I click on it, it shows me all my sales things up here because I turned on estimates and I have estimates up here, but I also have the products and services. The other way to get to it, the same list, is through that gear in the upper right hand corner. So if I want to get to my products and services, I can go this way. And this, well, if I click on that gear, I can click on the lists. And under the list, you'll see the list of products and services. Unless it crashes on me. So in my case, I just said it had a hiccup. It had something I couldn't figure out. Excuse me. So I hit refresh. I have too many tabs open probably. So when it reloads, eventually, Okay, somebody had trouble importing vendors. So let's go back real quick and take care of that. There it comes. So you want to find your vendors list. So it was working. So the vendors list should be from the link that I emailed for the invitation. And then you download it just like you did the customers. And then even though I already have vendors in here now, you can still go back and upload another list. Yeah. So a good scenario like this would be, let's say your company bought another company and you're going to take over all their vendors and they're different than yours. They said, okay, here's our list. And we've got 1,000 of them. Great. So you can convert it to Excel and then import it into your QuickBooks just like you did before. You just click on this, browse. And then under downloads, you should see that. Now, depending on your computer and what your settings are, it's showing up here, downloads, that folder. You can actually tell your computer which file folder you want to send it to. So it doesn't have to always go to downloads. Those are in the computer settings. Some people do change that, but I have downloaded my advanced vendors. So I'll click that list. And then click next. This is the mapping where it checks the columns. Next. And then once this shows up, just click import down there. And it should all come in and look something like that. So if you don't have that list, you have to go back to the email and click on Advanced Vendors, and that will allow you to download. We're going to do the same thing now with products. So if you want to follow along with that, it's going to work exactly the same. So here's my products and services. And I'm going to click on new here. And if you just click the new button, you put in one at a time, or I'm going to do it as a group by import. And the same thing works. The only thing now is because this is the products list, it is going to have a different layout than our customers or our vendors. So let's take a look at that layout. You only have to do this once, but if you want to see it, click on the download sample file. And now when I go into my download folder, there is QuickBooks Online sample file. It says PNS, products and services. Instead of and, they use the letter N. In the sample? Yeah, I think so. In this one, we're not going to use this one. This is just their sample layout whenever it comes up. Here it comes. So it should look something like this. So the first thing it leads off with is SKU. You recall that stock keeping unit. That's kind of the model number or the ID for each product. And a lot of times it's just that UPC code, that scanner code. Or as you'll see, it doesn't have to have anything. You do have to have a product or name, right? You don't have to have an SKU. So you'll see these have some. It's even giving you a warning. Don't use this as your products because they will actually fill up. And if you're not selling rocks, it's not going to make any sense because this is for a, looks like some kind of nursery or greenery. But anyway, there is type. So type is either going to be service, inventory, or non-inventory. Get a sales price. You have descriptions, your cost, expense account. Now in their dummy file, they left some of those blank. Normally, you really wouldn't want to do that. You really do want to have your costs in here if you can. So that's just the dummy one. So let me go back to the email. And the third button was the sample products and services. So we'll go ahead and import these. I'll leave it up to you if you actually want to use them for anything. But here's one of the funny parts is, remember when we did our vendors, the vendors had balances that we owed them. Theoretically, those should be connected to products. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to import the products after we already did the vendors. You notice QuickBooks doesn't go and backfill it. It doesn't say you owed $9.30. Well, that's because you bought, whatever, teddy bears or something. It doesn't tell you that. It just carries over their opening balance. So it doesn't carry over the sales. That's another thing you can import with QuickBooks. So here's the products and services. It's still kind of loading. If your item is a service, so here we got a service we're going to do. It's bookkeeping tutoring. You are so good at QuickBooks, you're going to provide tutoring services to other businesses. They ask you for help. So you're going to charge them. Well, when you do that, it's basically based on the hour. So how much do we say? $22.45 an hour. It's not taxable, but there's also no cost for you associated with it. Like, you're not purchasing this and selling it. You're going to do this for somebody. So in this case, there wouldn't be a cost. And then you'll see we have company t-shirts, doing parking validation, anything that might draw in some money. So we'll try this with products. One thing you have to tell it is it's okay to download. And then you're going to go up to the File menu and save it. So up here, there's File. And I'm going to click on Save As. So just like our vendors and customers, it's going to pull a copy from the cloud, wherever it's stored, who knows where, into our computer sitting right next to you. So now I'm going to select this, download a copy. And lickety split, down it comes. I get a quick little flash on my screen. Oops. Says it's there, so I'm going to take a look at my file folder for downloads. There's advanced product services download or upload. The way it works is when you're sending it out, that's an upload. And when you bring it to your computer, that's a download. I don't know who came up with that, but that's just the way they came up with it. So now I can go back to my QuickBooks. And tell it to browse for the file. So mine says advanced product services upload .xlsx. Click next. Now this is going to look different than our customers and our vendors because you have different attributes for the products. So you'll see, like for income accounts, we don't always have a match there. No expense accounts, quantity on hand. Some do have reorder points. I'm going to click on next. And now you'll see I have a column here that needs some entries. So let's change all these zeros to 2. Oh, wait. Yeah, not letting me do it either. Go back. Quantity on hand. Oh, there was no match. That's why. So let's not change them to 2. It didn't have a match. I thought it was a match on that one. You'll notice on this option, we have a little checkbox down here. It says overwrite all values for each product and services that you import with identical name. Remember I told you before on the customers and the vendors, when we import them, if there was a name that was already in existence, it would bounce into it and give you an error. This one, it's going to give you the option. It says, all right, if there's a duplicate, I'll wipe out the one you already got with this, if you tell me to. So then it won't block the duplicates. And the reason is, I think I mentioned this, like in grocery stores, they're always getting these new lists. So you do want it to override the old list, right? You'll still keep the history, but the name and whatever's been updated will change along with it. So we don't have to worry about that because we don't have anything in there yet. I'll go ahead and import. Yeah, there they go. So it should say 6 of 6. This time, though, we're doing things a little bit differently in that now we have some services. So consulting service here. You also see we have some parts that are non-inventory, meaning like this one's company logo t-shirt. So let's say we had a bunch of t-shirts done up, but we're doing it for like marketing purposes. We just want to give them out because everybody loves a t-shirt, right? So we've got a bunch of those on hand. We're not really in the business of reselling them. We've got them, we're going to use them till they're gone. So I'm not going to track their inventory as they go out. Now you could, it doesn't, just because we're not doing it now doesn't mean you can't. But because it's such a minor thing, it's kind of like an extra thing, I'm not going to track it, right? And same with the company hats. And then we have a coupon book here. So those would be non-inventory. Every year they come out with these coupon books with all the coupons for the different towns, and you buy the book, usually for the fundraiser. So something like that. Say, okay, well, yeah, we'll be part of that. It doesn't cost you anything as a business to be part of it. And then they ask you to sell the books and then give them the profit. So it's a nice little fundraiser. Plus, it gets your name out there, and you say, hey, we participated.
Sometimes it's for in the products.
Yeah, those are good ones. If you find the like buy one get one free kind of deal.
Or only one thing.
Yeah. They used to sell them in Barnes and Noble, and the one they put on display had holes punched through the coupons because I think people were taking the coupons when nobody's looking. So yeah, so they put holes through them so people can do that. Yeah, already got to be sneaky. But I mean, those are the things that you might run into as a business. And remember, you are collecting money, so you do want to track the income. But it's not like, okay, we're down, now we're going to restock them, right? You're going to sell them till they're gone. They gave you 100, you sell the 100, then you're done. So if it's something though that is going to be recurring, you'd probably make that inventory part. In this case, non-inventory. As I said before, you could set up the business completely to not track the inventory if you're not using QuickBooks to do that. It's just kind of helpful, as you're going to see, because you'll notice we do have a couple of items with reorder points. Maybe not. Thought we did. Let me see. I'm gonna go back to my list. Oh, no, we didn't. Well, okay, we did. Here's the error. There's an error in our data. So reorder point, you may recall, is a number that you put in, and you're telling QuickBooks, when we get down to this number, warn me, because I need to reorder. So in this case, the company logo t-shirts, if we had 5 left, we'd get the warning. But here's the error. See, it's right here. It says right there. That's reorder point. Here's why it didn't come in. And that's funny. QuickBooks didn't say anything about it. It just did it. So that was. So this reorder point's 5. But it's also classified as non-inventory part. Here's the deal. Reorder points only work on inventory parts. So when we're selling inventory items, that's when it knows we get down to 5. As a non-inventory part, the t-shirts, I said, it'll never know if we have 5 left, 100 left, 4 left, because we told it non-inventory. So that's an oops on our data. And how I can tell is, let's go back to QuickBooks. Let me click on that company logo t-shirt. And I want to edit. And you'll see down here, there is no spot for reorder point. And that's because we said this is going to be a non-inventory type. Right there. Now I could change it, but I don't want it. We'll do something else as a reorder point. It is possible to change the type, but it's only from this point forward. If we had any transactions up to this point, it's not gonna, you'd have to manually tell it how many we have on hand. Did you get a number?
Sales.
That's your sales, and then if you go up here. Yours is under get paid and pay.
Oh.
Company logo t-shirt.
Oh.
That's the one.
Thank you.
It's the X-ray. So that's where it said non-inventory. Okay, so while we're here in products and services, let's do one the old-fashioned way. We're going to click on new up here at the top. And we're going to put in an inventory type. So it says product service information. Again, the options are inventory, non-inventory, service, and bundle. We'll do bundles later on. Bundles are where you take different things together, put them together and sell them. So easy thing would be like a gift basket, right? So you're going to do the traveler's gift basket. So you can take a little shampoo, take a little toothpaste, a little toothbrush, and you're going to buy those, 100 of each, and then you're going to assemble them in a basket. You're going to wrap up the basket, and that's your final product. So all those are components coming together, and that's what the bundle will do. But in this case, let's make it inventory. And let's make this the company pen. So you'll sell pens with your company's logo on it. You can skip the SKU. You'll see we have categories. We're not going to put it under any category, but if you wanted to, like they call this promotional, you could do that. You'll also see class. Now this is different from what we did yesterday. We're not going to set up classes quite yet, but classes allow you to like make different levels of your products, and you can group them together. We are going to say we have 100 on hand as of today's date. So I'll click the date. And then here comes the reorder point. I'm just going to make it the number 10. Okay. So when we're down to 10, I want to place an order. So as soon as we sell 90, the computer's going to give me a little reminder. Oh, time to order. Okay. How do you come up with, yeah, question? Right. We had it, we never used it. So now we're advanced, we're going to use it. So you would do this. One question is, how do you come up with that number? Well, I come up with 10. I just made it up. What you would probably do in the real world is you could start off with 10. That's great. But you kind of watch and see how it goes. The rule of thumb is you'll notice how long, or basically how long it takes you to get the new product in. So let's say it takes a week. I place the order, the vendor's not bad, it takes a week to get it, right? Sometimes sooner. All right, so I figure, all right, 7 days. So how many sales am I making, 7 days of the pens? Let's say I'm selling 2 pens a day. All right, so 2, 4, 6, 8, that's 4 days. Now I'm a little one over, but 4 days. All right, so that means I figure every 4 days I'm selling 2 pens. I'd better order ahead of time. So 7 is not going to cut it. I'm going to shorten it. So what I'm going to do is place my reorder point at, like say, 20, right? Because 7 times 2 would be 14. But I said what'll happen is I'll sell them, I'll be sold out, and it'll take 3 days for them to come. So I'll shorten that by increasing the reorder point to 20, right? Now, and you see how that goes. When you hit 20, it'll remind you, you place the order. As you're selling the final ones, the next ones come in. Ideally, you never run out, but also you never end up with 10,000 on hand waiting to sell them. That's called just-in-time ordering. And it's a system that people have been trying to use since the 90s. And when it works great. It means you don't have a bunch of inventory that you paid for sitting on your shelves. The thing that happens though is if you guess that number wrong, you could run out and then your customers say, well, if I can't buy from you, I'm going to go over here. And then they might never come back, right? So you never want to run out. The problem with just in time is you have to balance that just right. And then nothing can go wrong. At some point, a ship sinks in the ocean. Oh, there go your pens. So now you got to reorder them, or your vendor has to reorder them from overseas, then they have to wait, and that's going to be another month, who knows. So that's how it gets messed up. So you'll see as we get into more of these, how that can be a problem or not. But the idea is the reorder point, it just keeps you from ever running out. It doesn't always work, but it's just, and it's not, you're not forced to. This is just a guide that QuickBooks will just give you a reminder, and it's not going to pester you if you say, you know what, cancel that. I'm not going to. QuickBooks doesn't care. All right, next, inventory asset comes up automatically. Again, that's an account that tracks the value of the products. By doing 100 of these, it's going to automatically put money in that account. So the description is going to be pens with company logo. And because we're a very prestigious company, we got to come up with a sales price. So we're going to sell these for $20. These are nice pens. They come in a little box. So that's worth 20 bucks. So your purchasing information is customized pens. So this is purchasing information, again, is what you're telling your vendor. Here's what we want when we order these. We want our customized pens. And our cost, it's only $3. They're not that nice a pen. Actually, they can be very nice pens. It just doesn't cost us that much to buy it. The things that can change the cost is how many you're buying at once. If you buy 10, maybe they're $6 a piece. But they say if you buy 100, we'll give you a break and only charge you 3 a piece. You say, okay, we'll go through 100. So yeah, we'll take the break. So there's kind of ways of getting discounts that way. Usually the more you buy, the cheaper you can get each one for. That's good because you can turn around and sell it cheaper and beat the competition. or keep it at the same price and then you make more money on each sale. So that's kind of a background thing. And then you have to deal with things like inflation. So maybe, now our cost is $3. Next week might be $3.50. And the week after that, $4. And it keeps going up and up. So then you have to decide, all right, this cost is going up. Should I go up here and change my price? Well, if you do, your customers might say, well, phooey, forget it. It's too expensive. I got to cut back somewhere. I'm going to cut back on the pen. So that's the balance. And then you pick a vendor. We're going to start using the preferred vendors. We didn't do that before. Preferred vendor is basically who would you like to order this from, all things being equal. So I'm going to use Quick Sales Supplies. Now, last time, well, the beginning class, we did not use preferred vendor. You don't have to, but it does make it more convenient if you are buying certain things from certain vendors. By putting this here doesn't mean you can't go to any of these other vendors and buy them from them, right? So like Roll 9 Yard Fabrics can always sell me the same thing. It's just when you set up an invoice, you can actually go by vendor, or pardon me, by item, by selecting this item, and it will bring up the preferred vendor. And I'm going to save and close. And there's my company pen. Ta-da. And it says, I currently have 100 on hand. See how that worked? So you can only use this reorder point if the type is inventory. So just FYI. And that makes sense. If you're telling the computer, I don't care about inventory, why would you care about a reorder point? And then when you come to pricing, now, have you heard of this? It's called shrinkflation. Have you heard of shrinkflation? Shrinkflation is like you used to buy a box of cereal, say it was a 16-ounce box, right? Well, now it looks the same, but if you read down below, it's a 14-ounce box, same price, because they don't want to make it smaller because people think, oh, what a ripoff, right? So what they do is they lower the contents and the weight. And that way the company saves money, and people don't realize it. So all of a sudden they're saying, why are we buying so much more? Why do we go through it so much faster? So that's now called shrinkflation. That's a new thing. And that's too sneaky. Then the other thing is, a new one I heard today, and it was skimflation. Skimflation is when, say, you take peanut butter, right? And how they make peanut butter, they squeeze out the oil and mash up the peanuts, and they put the oil back in. Well, peanut oil, they could sell for a lot more money than peanut butter. So instead of putting the peanut oil back in, they take cheap vegetable oil, put that in instead, and then they go sell the peanut oil for more money. Well, your peanut butter now is not full quality. That's called skimflation, where they skimmed out something to make the product. And they said that's happening more and more. And if you what was the one that just did it, got in trouble? One of those butter spreads. If you read the container, they did that. They used vegetable oil, and people noticed, and they claimed it was easier to spread. It just also happens to be a lot cheaper. But a lot of people got upset. They wrote letters in, and I said, okay, we're going to switch back. Hey,
teacher.
How's it going?
My name is Lillian.
Oh, okay.
I got because I can't.
All right. Yeah, come on in.
Thank you.
That's the way to do it. All right. Were you able to get products and services? Did you do customers?
Yeah,
but not vendors? And not products and services?
but I don't have a Wi-Fi.
Okay. When your Wi-Fi, connect to this one. PJUSD-guest. And there's no password. I see you brought your technical expert with you. So you know that's open, by the way. So it's, don't put anything, don't put social security numbers over it or anything.
So she didn't have that little list that you guys have?
You got this one?
No, yeah, she got that.
Okay.
She doesn't have that. I can't tell me this dashboard.
Okay. Let's see, what does yours look like?
So,
Use get paid and pay. There you go. So there's the products and services. And then vendors.
So I need to go, it's different, huh?
Yeah, it's a little different.
I,
And then vendors. There you go.
I try, but I can't.
Okay, quick browse. Let's see.
Product service. I can't.
Use advanced vendors. Next. Okay, so close that. Since you already did it. Yes. Good question. Oh, I know. Go to customers.
I think important customers.
Yeah.
I think so. Because I
Scroll down. That's okay.
Yes.
This one. This slider bar. Oh, wait. Turn clear filter on. Yeah, there they are. Here's one. Okay, so let me wrap up the class here with them, and then we'll go through and we'll fix it. Because there is a way to fix it. And you know how to do it because we had some similar problem.
Yeah.
So
Because
that's one of the things.
customers,
Oh.
vendors and customers.
Yes, and in customers and vendors, you can only have one name each. So every time you try to do it now, it's going to say, can't do it. There's already somebody with that name. But we'll fix that. All right, so once you get your products uploaded like this, and we have our new company pen ready, we are done for the evening. So tomorrow, we're gonna start doing sales, make some of that money in, and setting up accounts. All right, so in your case,
Right now I can't.
let's go ahead and do that again. Okay, now stop. Here's a really good one. They can't have the same name as the customer. Click here, put a space bar. Yep. Okay, now there's two spaces, that's a different name. Do the same thing for each one. Click the ring, space. Yep. Yep. Kind of tricky. You put a period. You can't put a space at the end. Go ahead and keyboard. Okay, so same, they did 6 of them. This one, you need a period at the end. There you go. There they are. Okay, now let's go to customers. So this is one of the vendors. We don't want them to show us customers. You're welcome. So we're going to click on that. Just on the name. And up here where it says edit, you're going to make inactive. It's going to be inactive customer. See now, go back to the customer. So we're gonna click all our vendors. This one, check mark there. Check mark there. There. Yeah. Okay. Scroll back up to the top.
This one
I think that's a customer. Okay, so click on batch action.
So I recognize customers.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's take a look. Look at my customers here.
So don't have any more vendors in
Right.
customer.
Right. They're actually, technically, they're still there, but you made them inactive, so they won't show up anymore.
Okay, so I import customers, vendors, and right now it's product, right?
Yes.
Product, it's same.
Okay, so go here. Import. So,
I remember make a just products
mhm,
and in the first bookkeeping,
right,
right?
right. So this is the other way. You're taking a list instead of having to put each one in one at a time.
Mhm.
So again, click on browse. Should be.
So
Yeah, we're all set.
thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
I look at the dashboard, but it's different.
Yeah, I'll tell you, here's what happened. When I did mine this time as advanced,
Uh-huh.
I set it up as a retail other. So this is a little different layout over here, right?
Mhm.
Like I'll see sales on mine. I don't think you have that on yours. And I don't have the get paid and pay, but I still have products and services. I still have customers, and I still have vendors
Mhm.
under expenses.
So I look Spencer here, look.
Yeah.
I Esther and my daughter. Esther, I can see it, Spencer. I don't know, I look at Spencer.
Yeah,
in
it won't.
settings, I think so. No,
But you will see the list, like the products and services list. And then you can find your vendors here. It's just a little different layout from when we first set it up, but the windows are exactly the same.
Okay, so I have a question next time. I will.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
I could see online on the questions, but that's what you were doing it right.
Very fast. My husband, really, it's important, okay, but I can't.
Well, you were doing it right, just in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you heard me say, that's one of the problems with customers and vendors is they look so similar. See, like in the products and services, if I tried that, it wouldn't work. I can't put vendors in the products and services because there's nothing to match. In the customers and the vendors are so similar because there's name, address, phone number on both of them. It's easy to get them mixed up. So, and then once you did it in the customers and you said, oh, wait, vendors, then it already finds the names in the customers and won't let you. And that's why you're getting blocked.
Teacher, this is system, it's company for account.
Mhm.
Have a lot of company in Patterson, in Central Valley, use QuickBooks.
Yes. Yeah, especially small ones. Small companies. The large company, the corporations like Foster Farms.
Because
They don't.
Foster Farm. In tweets,
Mhm.
it's one company. I remember in tweets in the area.
Yes, that's where they're from. Yeah.
Okay.
But they're worldwide now. QuickBooks has grown across the world. A lot of small companies will use it. little bookstores, things like that.
In stores, Walmart, you think?
No,
No,
for two reasons. One, they're too big.
it's too big.
They have their own system.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, if they're doing a lot of retail like that, they use what's called the point of sale system. Like you see the cash registers, right? So all those smart cash registers are doing these transactions for them. They don't need QuickBooks. But
That's so good.
yeah, Candy,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet